Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double 18 podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Negishi. I apologize for the, uh, not notifying anybody on this one, but my account has been suspended for about a week, unfortunately, so I cannot send out an information regarding our live stream tonight. My friend and my guest for a long time, Rishab Skiri from the YouTube's DaWindiCityProductions is kind enough to join us, and hopefully he can retweet about this live stream down the road. Hopefully my account will be back restored by the end of the week, as I'm kind of on a sabbatical right now, so I cannot retweet about this. But either way, I'm going to try and a retweet about this YouTube recording doing live stream as well. Rishab, thanks for joining me tonight, and I really appreciate you joining me on such short notice.
Yeah, no worries, man. It's been a long time since we recorded. I think it's literally been a
Sir.
couple months now at this point. I saw you at the draft party a couple weeks ago in Chicago, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah,
Yes, I was in Chicago to see the Texans and the Bears on the Sunday night matinee across the street from the Wrigley Field. It was a lot of fun there. Appreciate you hanging out with me while I was there, and hopefully I look forward to visiting the city of Chicago, where I'm originally from, more often now that I'm in the in the Michigan area, which makes it a little bit more easier to travel. All right. Let's get right to it, Rishab. First half of the season kind of is completed. The Bears on paper looks, compared to last year, record wise, the team is much more improved at 2-2 versus 0-4 last year. We dealt with a lot of turmoil as a Bears fan last year at this time. If you remember, Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator, abruptly left the team. There was rumors that the FBI was investigating Halas Hall as well as his house. If you remember, the Bears got their ass kicked. Oh, excuse me. No. All right. Welcome back. The Bears got their ass kicked by the Chiefs in that same week when Taylor Swift went to her first NFL game, obviously dating with Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, and obviously became the hottest couple on planet back then. And then the Bears blew a 28-10 lead against the Denver Broncos to go 0-4. Compare that to last year versus this year. Where are you right now, feeling wise, about this Bears team and the progression that they're, at least making in terms of the record?
Yeah, I like the progress that they're making. I mean, last game we saw a lot of positive stuff happen on the offensive side of the football. So I think that anything good that happens with the offense, with Caleb Williams, with Shane Waldron, being a little bit better last game, it's obviously very good to see. We're not going to expect too many wins this year, but the fact that the Bears were able to go into that game, find a way to win against a really good head coach and Sean McVay, a really good quarterback and Matt Stafford, even though they were missing a lot of guys. They were missing, half of their team basically. So we're not going to act like it was a, dominant victory, very, very impressive victory. But I think it was, step in the right direction. And, especially after that game against the Colts, in which you lost against a team that you probably should have won against, a very bad quarterback, basically letting them, get into that game and choke it at the end. I think that this was a much different change of pace where, the Bears really stood on business. They took the lead in the first half. They performed pretty well in the second half. The offense actually figured stuff out in the second half of the game. So, compared to 2023, I mean, it's obviously much, much better. Like right now, last year, the Bears were on a 13 game losing streak. As you mentioned, Alex got fired and it was just complete chaos. But at least right now we have a direction we're going in. So, that has to make you excited if you're a Bears fan.
Let's look back at the Sunday's game. The Bears took care of business against the Rams, 24-18. Entering this game, Rishab, I think a lot of people myself included, weren't really, really, optimistic because it was a coaching mismatch between Sean McVay versus Matt Eberflus. Sean McVay dealing with no Cooper Cup and Puka Nacua, and yet they still beat the San Francisco 49ers in a battle of the mash units, 27-24 at home. And you felt that, the Rams have a good shot at the beating the Bears, kind of reeling the last two games following on an emotional season opener versus the Tennessee Titans. What were your feelings going into this ball game, and what stood out to you the most in this game? Maybe a couple of things that maybe we can kind of just go over in terms of the things that noticed in this game before entering, as well as how you feel after the game was over.
Yeah, entering, I was hoping the Bears would win, but I was very nervous. I thought the Bears might have a chance to blow this one, just
Yeah.
because of how bad we played in the last game. And even down the stretch of this game, the Bears did have a chance to lose. The Rams had the ball with the chance to score a go-ahead touchdown. So I was pretty nervous in the second half of that game. And even entering this game, I was pretty nervous and thinking the Bears, basically treating this game as a must-win, because if the Bears lost this game to go to 1-3 on the year, with how tough our schedule is down the stretch, the Bears would have practically no chance of making the playoffs. So, really nervous going into this game, worried about the offense, worried about the head coach, worried about the offensive coordinator. But after the game, my feelings definitely change a little bit. I'm more a believer in Shane Waldron now than I was before this game, although Shane still has to prove a lot of things to us to, show that he's actually a good offensive play caller. He only had one good half so far that he's called a football for the OC. So, more confident right now, more confident in Eberflus as well, because Eberflus's defense again performed really well. But we still have to see more of this, down the stretch. So I'm not going to overreact too much. It's again step in the right direction, but I think we still have to see a lot more from the Bears team to say that they're officially, past their mistakes that they made last year. Like Eberflus still has a losing record as a head coach. He still has to win a lot of games to prove his worth on the Chicago Bears.
Is the jury still out on Waldron in your mind?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have to see at least a couple more games of good offensive production. And even last game, the Bears, some of the points they got were off of turnovers. Like, can't recall.
Short field, especially the one that Montez Sweat strip sacks the Matthew Stafford. That was a help. That was a huge help there too.
Yeah, we got short fields, and even the other games, we like the first game against the Titans, our offense did not score a single point. So I think we still have to see a lot more in terms of passing game, run game, the plan throughout an entire game. It still has to be better, but so far it's definitely a lot better than what before.
Another thing that stood out in terms of the game was, the run game, which was very non-existent. And I know, I think it was Field Yates who tweeted leading up to the Rams game saying that they were going to give Roshan Johnson the carries. And I think both of us, and I think a lot of Bears fans were automatically assuming he was going to be the feature back, the lead back. But once the game started, unfortunately, it was still the DeAndre Swift show. But to his credit, and also maybe Waldron's credit too, DeAndre Swift looked like a completely different player, rushing for almost 100 yards and almost 72 yards in receiving. So that was, what we all expected from, the DeAndre Swift that, we are so accustomed to seeing, when he was with the Lions and then also the Eagles last year. Are you a believer that we can count on DeAndre Swift as a maybe a like a feature back moving forward, or do you still see the need for Roshan to be maybe more of a feature back down the road?
Probably split carries, I would say. I don't think any back should be a feature back per se on this offense. Like, even with Khalil Herbert on this offense, like we should still be giving some carries to Khalil Herbert, I feel like. So Yeah, going down the stretch, I would still I want it to be more like situational, right? If it's like 3rd and 1, use Roshan Johnson. If it's first down in a passing situation, maybe put DeAndre Swift in. If it's 2nd down, whatever, you need a cutback run, then put Herbert in. So I think it should be more running back by committee more than just one running back featured. So even though last game DeAndre Swift had a really good game, it was against a pretty poor run defense. So I want to see if he can replicate this against some better run defenses down the stretch. If he can do it against a team that now knows what he's really trying to do on tape. There's still a lot to be proven by DeAndre Swift, right? So
Yeah.
obviously a good game by him. I'm not going to hate on him for that, but it's also only one game, so I would still like to see Roshan and Herbert in this running back room.
Yeah, I like what they did. Roshan really picked up key short yardages late in the ball game. That was very, very huge. I'm glad that DeAndre Swift was running hard in between tackles rather than just bouncing outside and losing huge yardages like we were so accustomed to seeing the first 3 games of the season, and kind of really became hopeless and really angry about the signing of Swift, as well as how he was being used. And what we saw in that Rams game is probably the best way to use him moving forward. Make sure that Swift hits the hole quickly. I'm sure that was something that Waldron harped on, in a meeting many times, and looked like, to Waldron's credit, or as well as the offensive coaching staff, to make sure that Swift kept moving forward. And he's a good receiver, and we saw that glimpse of it in preseason, and also finally in the Rams game as well. Making some huge catches to extend the drive as well. So hopefully, it's a little bit of a more of an even carry, between Swift and Johnson, because obviously Swift is a smaller back versus the Johnson's a more physical style. So that's something that is very, very interesting. The other thing that certainly has been on the minds of you, as well as many Bears fans, myself included, is Caleb's deep ball. It's still not there, unfortunately. We saw a couple of missed opportunities. The one with Rome Odunze, it looked like he was held there. Odunze, that is, and that would have been certainly easy touchdown had he not been held there. And then the other one, of course, is the DJ Moore one toward the end of halftime, where it looked like he kind of stopped running, and there was obviously a moment in time where DJ sat alone on the bench, and then having conversations with Caleb on that particular pass as well. Obviously, the chemistry still isn't there. DJ's number is way off, less than 10 yards per catch, even though with the touchdown that he caught last week. Are you concerned about the chemistry between Caleb and DJ, and when do you think that it's going to start improving?
Yeah, it's going to start improving whenever the production finally comes, if that's next game or game after. Whenever DJ Moore finally has his first 100+ yard receiving game. I don't think he's had one yet, right? 100+ yard receiving this year.
No.
Yeah, Roma Dunze has the only 100+ yard receiving game of the year, which is pretty crazy to think about entering this year, that a rookie receiver has the most yards right now from a one-game basis. But I'm not really worried too much, because I think it's more just they're both competitive people. Caleb and DJ Moore both are super competitive. They want to win games this year, and DJ Moore is obviously going to be frustrated a little bit playing with a rookie quarterback, because he kind of has to start back over at zero. New quarterback, when obviously with Fields, he already had somewhat of a chemistry develop with him, but developing that chemistry takes a little bit of time, right? Like even with Fields and Moore, we didn't see them start connecting a lot until week 5. Remember that Commanders game? I mean, that was the first game that DJ Moore
had that's right. Yeah.
3 touchdowns and like that crazy stat line. So I'm not really worried right now. Like it's definitely gonna be one of those things where, like, with time, with more experience, they're gonna be more comfortable with each other. Caleb is gonna know, what routes Moore is trying to run. He's gonna know the speed on his routes, and the timing is gonna be down eventually, but it's just not there yet. So It's just one thing that you have to have a little bit of patience with, but eventually this connection is going to be very, very good, I feel like.
Yeah, to his credit, DJ Moore, that is, he has been very, very professional. I know a lot of people think of receivers. They have the like the diva type attitude. That a lot of us used to watching Terrell Owens and Randy Moss back in the day. But so far, even with the press conference today, DJ was very, very contrite and was explaining eloquently about what happened on that play, as well as the touchdown that he scored that some people are trying to take out of context and stuff like that. But obviously, that's not going to, hinder the relationship between two sides, and that they're still working on it. And more importantly, though, I think this is where Waldron has to start earning his paycheck. You don't make DJ more like a, like a run strictly, screen passes and routes, short routes. You have to be able to make sure to get DJ involved, and I'm sure that's the meeting that the so-called team captain meeting that was highly publicized. That was kind of mentioned by super veteran tight end Mercedes Lewis about how he and the veterans, they don't mind being coached up, or they demand to be coached up, and they want to be be more demandful from the coaches, because that's what they're are, and they're in the business of winning games and stuff like that. So hopefully DJ, without being vulgar or being disruptor, can make sure that he and Caleb can bring it up to Shane Waldron and the other offensive staff about maybe just not just the screens, but also on the intermediate routes, or on the slants as well, that that they can take advantage of and give DJ Moore a production that he certainly deserves. And I'm sure that Ryan Pauls didn't give DJ a massive contract only to see him being very, very underutilized, and and I'm sure that this will not be the what we're going to see the rest of the year. But this does not help offense grow. It certainly does not help Caleb grow as a passer. So this is something that bears watching, and hopefully that the chemistry between Williams and DJ Moore will improve with the help of offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. So I wanted to kind of get back on that meeting about the team captains and OC. Do you find that when Lewis mentioned that in the press conference, that is that kind of like a red flag to you, that players are openly talking about it as if they have no respect for Waldron, or do you kind of appreciate the more upfront and honest situation between the players and the coaching staff? Where do you sit on that?
I think it's good that they're upfront and honest, because that's how you can solve any problem, really. Like, I think dancing around the solution, dancing around the problem is probably not the best way to go about it, which is how some other coaches kind of do. Like, they don't actually, meet with the players, or, really take their feedback as much as I feel like Shane Waldron has taken it so far. I mean, Waldron has actually been very good in receiving the criticism, changing from it. And, he even went in front of the team, a couple days ago, or before the game, actually. And like, he showed all the plays that he messed up on himself, like the plays that he called poorly. He kind of showed to the team like, hey, I screwed up here, which I feel like a lot of coaches maybe would not be doing something like that in the NFL. So I think it's actually pretty cool. The only thing I was like kind of worried about was Caleb and the players like telling him straight up that he has to be harder on him. I feel like that was kind of just like a weird look, that your coach has to be told by your rookie quarterback that, yeah, you should be coaching me a little bit harder. But yeah, it seems like he did take the criticism well, and it seems like he learned from it and kind of changed his coaching style a little bit from him, from that meeting. So fingers crossed, hopefully it leads to better coaching down the road. But yeah, it's good to have these meetings right now when the season is so still early. Like, we still have 13, 14 weeks, to sort these things out. So I like it.
Yeah. The first half of the Rams game, we were treated to the same crap that we've been witnessing the first 3 weeks, and a lot of people were tweeting and panicking that what was the meeting for, and because obviously the reason, that was being mentioned, and in the second half, finally the offense kind of really kicked in. We saw a lot of no huddle offense that's really gave Caleb the rhythm to throw the ball. The pass protection, even without Tevin Jenkins, was holding up pretty well. Caleb was thankfully also very very decisive with his passes. Also, check downs in which Mark Sanchez, who was the analyst on Fox, said that just take what the defense gives you and all that stuff. Check downs aren't not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion as well. But do you feel like I think this will go back into the coaching and the cultural issues here. Do you feel like the Bears are trying to, I don't know, take Caleb out of the football game? You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is just like trying to, make him like a game manager and trying not to make him lose the game. Obviously, after that couple of picks that he threw against the Colts game that seemed to have irked Eberflus, especially the one between two defenders and Rome Odunze that he had in his hands that bounced off and was picked off. Are you concerned about that? Maybe Eberflus and the coaching staff is trying to, tame him, or is that too early to, have that concern?
I'm a little bit concerned about it because it seems like he's not taking deep shots as much right
Yeah.
now. Like, I think you talked about already, like the last game, like there was a play for Roma Dunze down the field, which I was watching QB School's video, the QB School. He had a breakdown of the last game, just going over the game film, and Rome was like streaking down the field wide open on like a post route, but Caleb took the dump off instead, and it seems like something that Caleb would not be doing in college football. Like Caleb in college would definitely be going for the deep shot, but
Yeah.
it's obviously a mix, right? Like you want to be taking the aggressive shots when it's when the opportunity is there, but you also want to be getting the first downs, via check down. So like it's a balance that you have to find eventually. So I'm a little bit worried that maybe the Bears are trying to make him too much of a game managing, dump off, getting pocket passer and like kind of coaching the risk taking out of him, which Eberflus actually has a term. It's called like the 200 club or whatever, where he wants to,
2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and stuff.
two
like
touchdowns, 0 interceptions, which kind of ruined Justin Fields in a way, right? Like Justin Fields stopped taking any aggressive shots down the field or any tight window passes because they kind of coached them out of that. So I'm really hoping that Eberflus is not going to do the same thing with Caleb and like completely coach away all of the aggression, risk taking from him, because part of that is what makes Caleb so special. Like in college, like his ability to do things by himself, throw a ball 50 yards on the run in between defenders. Like that's what made him so special in college. So I really hope that he still tries to do those things in the NFL level, obviously at the right times, not do them every single play. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the Bears kind of manage that and how Caleb balances that part of his game.
I'll add a little bit of a question here in terms of what we were discussing. Certainly, Matt Eberflus is entering this year, as one of the coaches certainly on the hot seat. And I think that after the Colts game, I was so pissed that I wrote on the BearsGogglesOn.com on the fan-sided network that Eberflus put himself on the hot seat after that game, and if God forbid Sean McVay outcoaches him without Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, maybe Sean McVay could. I know odds are long, but he could become like the Bears' next head coach. We know that McVay was making so much noise about wanting to retire, after he won the Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. But he's back again coaching. You never know when Matthew Stafford is going to retire at his age at 35, I believe, right now, 35, 36. He's not getting any younger. The Rams, well, at some point will have to start rebuilding. Does McVay, a coach like McVay, who's already won a Super Bowl and who's competitive, wants to go through rebuilding with a rookie quarterback who knows if he's going to pan out in the league or not? So maybe I was thinking Sean McVay could be maybe the future Bears coach that fans will have a good look at. And where do you put Sean McVay in the rankings of the coaches? And number two, how hot? I maybe not the hot seat is the right term right now, but in terms of scale of 1 to 10, are you in or out on the Coach Eberflus so far?
Well, so Sean McVay, I think, is a top 5 coach for sure in the NFL. Like, he's just done so much already in his young NFL career. He's already went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He has such great offenses, even missing Cooper Kupp and all these guys. Like, the Bears definitely will not be able to function this well as an offense without Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, all these guys. But Sean McVay still is able to have a competent NFL offense, with Matt Stafford. So big fan of Sean McVay for sure. And as for Eberflus, how hot is a seat, or like, am I in or out on him? I would say, like, I'm still kind of 50-50. Like, I'm definitely not in on him 100% because I still think that he's not, like, he's the 4th best coach in our division, right? Like,
unfortunately, yes. But the joke is, if you also include Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson and the Vikings defensive coordinator Ryan Flores, he's probably even behind those two people.
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's like number 6 there.
Yep. Which is, it's a truth, honestly. Like, so far with what he's shown as Bears coach, that you can't say anything else besides that. So, obviously, we hope that his defense can eventually win us these games and make us have a playoff berth. And hopefully he can be like a Sean McDermott type of coach who's a strong defensive mind, good motivator, defensive guy that is still working with a good quarterback, and Josh Allen is able to have a lot of success. So I think that's the goal for Matt Eberflus, to be Sean McDermott eventually, but he's certainly not there right now. So it's going to be a waiting game for sure to see if he can become a Sean McDermott or or Bill Belichick type. Obviously, I'm not going to compare Bill Belichick to him because Bill's on a totally different level. But
sure,
we'll see what happens. I still have to see more wins to be fully in on Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter today. There was somebody asking questions about Eberflus's future, about let's say if the Bears finish 9-8, it's a winning record, even though it's an odd game number that you're playing, but they go 0-6, I believe, in the division.
Oh, I think I saw it.
You saw that one, right?
Yes.
So my answer to that question about whether Eberflus should be brought back is, to me, the answer is an emphatic no, because you went 2-4 against within your own division, right? And to go 0-6 is a completely step backwards, like no progression, just a regression. Okay, you have to be able to win within the division, and then that means you're 0-6 against the Green Bay Packers since becoming a head coach, and that does not probably sit well with the Bears organization or even the fans. So there are no real reasons, tangible reasons, to bring back Matt Eberflus under those circumstances. I'm sure your answer is probably a no as well if you're 0-6 within the division, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you got to win at least 2, I would say, to keep your job. If you are 9-8 or 10-7, whatever, like, you have to win at least 2 against the division, like, at least be, on par from last year. Personally, I think he has to win 3+, but the division is so tough this year where winning 3 is going to be pretty difficult. So I'll settle for only winning 2 because we do have a rookie quarterback. We're still kind of rebuilding. So I'm not going to expect 3-4 wins out of him, but you got to win at least 2. Like last year, you should have swept the Detroit Lions. You could have swept the Vikings. I mean, the first game against the Vikings was pretty close as well. Packers, obviously, we weren't even close against both games. So the Packers game is going to be one that I really hope we can find a way to win somehow, because if you win that game, I think Flus might be safe no matter what, right? Like, if you finally beat the Packers, if you come close to making the playoffs, I think that would definitely be good enough for most Bears fans
Sure.
to some extent. But if you get swept against the Packers again, if you lose against the Lions and Vikings, twice, then there's no reason why Flus should be staying here as head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. But the man who makes that decision, of course, is the one and only Ryan Poles, the general manager, who I think for the first time, he is kind of I don't want to say hot seat, but he's kind of hearing it from the fans, especially with the offensive line debacle. Because ineffectiveness. This comes after Ryan Poles was quoted as saying, this is the deepest depth that they have on that offensive line, which obviously doesn't mean much given how they have played so far. But do you think at some point Ryan Poles will realize that he have to move on from Matt Eberflus without being emotionally too attached? I know that we all know that both he and Eberflus share the same agent together. Which certainly may have had a leg up on him being hired shortly after Ryan Poles was named the GM. And of course, Eberflus was already having interviews conducted by Bill Polian, George McCaskey, and Ted Phillips, which obviously made no sense at that time and still makes no sense either. So do you think that Ryan Poles eventually will come to his senses and pull that trigger? Or do you feel like that, because of his emotional attachments, that, we're going to get dragged down by Matt Eberflus, by the time it's too late?
I think he'll fire him for sure. Like, he's going to have to if he wants to keep his job. If he stays with Matt Eberflus again after this year, if we don't improve and make the playoffs, then he's basically, firing himself as well. Because, like, obviously last year we kind of gave him a pass because one stability with the rookie quarterback. We were on a winning streak last year. The defense was playing so well. So in some ways, maybe it made a little bit of sense to keep Eberflus this year, even though I still wanted Flus fired at the beginning of this year. But I can still see it somewhat. But if he keeps him again this year after again not making the playoffs, if our offense is still bad, then Poles has to be fired too. Like then it would, fully rest on his shoulders. Unless Caskies are somehow telling him he can't fire Flus, which I don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, George McCaskey usually does not interfere that much, I feel like, with decisions. Like he obviously hires the wrong guys usually.
I think the wild card here is Kevin Warren now moving forward.
So. Yeah, and that's a good point too. Like Kevin Warren might be the one that makes the call to fire Flus, eventually, right? Because Ward could literally tell Poles like, "Hey, I'm going to fire you as well if you don't get rid of Flus." So
exactly. Warren didn't hire neither man. So there's that, added twist there, because you always want to hire your own people. If you're in the, whether you're a general manager wanting to hire your own head coach, or, if you're like a team president wanting to hire your people to run the football side, as well as that person to pick his own head coach. So Ryan Poles certainly, feeling the pressure with the bad offensive line and, offense that hasn't progressed nearly as much. This is going to be a very, very interesting, the rest of the season for Chicago Bears moving forward. Okay, so Rishab, I'm going to wrap it up with this question. I know there's a lot of Bears fans have been kind of getting antsy about Williams' play versus the Jaden Daniels, of the Washington Commanders, who has, gotten off to a very, very good start. And, so far, I know people are stupid enough to quote us, say Bears picked the wrong quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to give me your honest feelings about, the success Jaden Daniels is having so far with the Washington Commanders and, the comparison between Daniels versus Williams in that sense there.
Yeah, I mean, Daniels has definitely been having a better rookie season so far than Caleb. I mean, that's undisputable. Like his numbers are a lot better. His deep accuracy has been a lot better as well. But I also think it's a thing where their offensive line is so much better than the Bears right now. Like somehow the Commanders totally revamped their offensive line. Like if you watch any of their games, there's huge pockets that Jaden Daniels has to throw from for a long period of time. He's working with the OC and Cliff Kingsbury that kind of made the offense easier for a rookie quarterback to handle. That's what
Right.
somebody on the Bengals said, that like he's running like a college offense basically right now. I think Cam
Yeah.
Taylor-Britt said that, and then he got torched for the game-winning touchdown, I think, or game-losing touchdown on the. Did you watch that Commanders and Bengals game? I think that was on Monday Night
I
Football.
did. That was on Monday night. Yes, I did watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like Jaden Daniels kind of just proved him wrong right there, but he was kind of telling the truth though. Like he's running a pretty simple offense right now, where it's only a
Yeah.
couple
One
reads.
read, quick
Yeah,
out, something
one
like
or
that.
two
Yeah.
reads and just got to get rid of the ball, pretty quickly. And so far it's working, but I also don't think that Jaden's going to keep up this success to this level the entire season. Like he's definitely going to have some rough games, and he's going to play a game against the Bears defense pretty soon. Like that's in 4 or 5 weeks from now, so that's going to be a pretty fun game to watch. Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, and I really think that Caleb is going to come out on top on that game. I mean, the Bears defense is so much better than the Commanders defense, so
Yeah.
that's going to be a fun game to kind of preview and talk about. But yeah, for the time being, he's definitely beating out Caleb Williams.
Mhm. Now that Washington game is first game immediately out of the bye week for the Bears, and
Oh,
you know, yeah, the last few years, even dating back to Matt Nagy's days, the Bears have not looked sharp coming out of the bye week. So that's been a major problem for the Bears. That's something that they also have to overcome in order to win, this year. So that's going to be a very interesting game. Too bad it's not a nighttime or primetime game. They couldn't flex that game. So at least it will be still on manageable time on Sunday afternoon. Very excited to see, how these two quarterbacks, where they are by the time they meet each other. So it's going to be a very interesting game to look forward to when the Bears visit Washington. All right, give me a quick prediction on the Carolina game this week. Quick predictions. Any a couple of standouts that you think is going to have a good game? Give me your prediction.
yeah, I'll go Bears win 28-17. I think the Bears will score good amount of points in this game. Panthers defense is really bad. Bears defense should do pretty well against Andy Dalton. So as for like standouts, I would say I want to say Caleb Williams. Like I think Caleb is gonna have his best game as a Bear so far. I think it's
Yeah,
possible to have 300 plus passing yards in this game. I mean, they have such a
I
bad
do too.
defense. They have no pass rush really. So Caleb
Mhm.
theoretically should have a good amount of time in the pocket. You hope, and with all the weapons out here on the football field, I think that this could be the breakout game for Caleb Williams potentially, right? Like we saw
Right.
back in 2018. You remember the game Trubisky had against the Buccaneers, right? It was like week
Yeah,
4, week
six
5.
touchdown game. I remember.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be 6 touchdowns or anything, but I think it's possible to throw for 3
Or
touchdowns,
maybe 3 or 4. Yeah.
3 or 4 touchdowns, 300 passing yards. Like I think that's definitely possible for Caleb in this game. So I will be going with Caleb for my star player of this game.
Mhm. I'll go 34-20 or
Nice.
34-17, either way. I think this is a good game for the Bears to continue to get their offense right. Um, Both Shaq Thompson and Derek Brown are both out for the season. With a season-ending injury, so they're a little bit depleted in the defensive side of it. Um, Andy Dalton, certainly a veteran. Obviously played for the Bears. Has maybe some emotions attached to it. The way he played there, having to be like like a guy warming up the seats for Justin Fields, and then was kind of given a really bad treatment. If you look back at how Matt Nagy screwed up that quarterback situation, unfortunately. But he took over for Bryce Young, immediately paid dividends against the Raiders, and then kind of crashed back against the Bengals to give the Bengals their first win of the season. I'm sure that wasn't what they had intended for. I think Carolina is still somewhat lacking or missing their horses. So hopefully this is a game that Bears run the ball like hell, just to punish them in the secondary level as well. So I hope that the Bears will continue to keep on improving on offensive side of the ball as well. Defensively, I just want to see them do a better job, stopping the run. I think we saw way too many times they gave up a big run, or at least, let the Rams and Matthew Stafford extend the, plays on second down and third down. So the run defense has to really, really tighten up for the Bears, to have a real good shot at winning this game on Sunday. Well, listen, Rishab, I appreciate you coming on late tonight. I know you got work to do tomorrow, just like I do. So I'll let you go. If you're a Bears fan, and if you've never heard of Rishab Skiri, you're missing out. His YouTube channel, as you can see below at the bottom, DaWindiCityProductions. Make sure that you go look up on YouTube channel to find his channel and subscribe to his contents. He's got great Bears content, Bears YouTuber. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows you very, very well. Rishab, thanks for your time, and I look forward to having you on again, hopefully very, very soon, to discuss the Chicago Bears. And have a wonderful night, and I hope to have you on again very soon. Take care.
Thank you, man. Take care.